On the night of the company's celebration, my husband, Ethan, openly put his arm around his assistant, Tiffany, right in front of me, completely disregarding me, his wife of 9 years. And when Tiffany came up to me, the 7-figure diamond ring Ethan had given her gleamed blindingly on her hand. Comparing it to the $500 pearl necklace he'd given me for my birthday, it became clear that after 9 years of marriage, I was nothing more than a backdrop he could replace at any moment. Before we continue, please subscribe to this channel and let us know in the comments where you're listening from. Inside the ballroom, crystal chandeliers cast a dazzling glare. Amidst the clinking glasses, the guests' laughter pierced my eardrums like knives. I stood beside him, wearing the black evening gown Ethan had personally chosen, smiling like a perfect ornament. Yet, his hand was around another woman's waist. Tiffany, his private assistant, 25 years old, with an alluring charm in her eyes. Tiffany was wearing a low-cut red dress, pressing close to Ethan's side, laughing without a hint of restraint. She raised her champagne glass towards me, her voice sickeningly sweet. "Ms. Grace, Ethan said this dress makes you look like an elegant sculpture." An ornament and a sculpture, what a perfect match, indeed. Ethan chuckled softly, patted Tiffany's shoulder, his tone affectionate. "Stop teasing Ms. Grace. She's sensitive." The surrounding guests let out good-natured laughter, but I knew their eyes held mockery. I forced a smile, murmuring, "Thank you for the compliment." Tiffany winked at me, then leaned in to whisper something in Ethan's ear. Ethan's smile deepened, and he led her towards the main table, without sparing me a glance. I stood rooted to the spot, as if nailed to the floor. A Hayes executive nearby leaned over and whispered, "Ms. Grace, Ethan has been getting quite close to assistant lately. You should keep a closer eye on things." In truth, I had sensed Tiffany's ambition half a year ago, when she first joined Hayes. She always seemed to appear by Ethan's side, subtly or not. She was quicker than anyone to deliver documents, and her smile was sweeter than anyone's. I had tried to warn Ethan, but he merely dismissed it with a single sentence, "You're overthinking it. Tiffany is just an ordinary assistant." But now, this ordinary assistant was sitting at the main table, taking my place, accepting guests' toasts. And I, like a forgotten, broken toy, stood in the corner, forcing myself to swallow the bitter taste in my throat. As the banquet reached its climax, Ethan went on stage to deliver his speech. He was in a sharp suit, looking as handsome as a perfect prince under the lights. He thanked his team, he thanked his partners, but he failed to mention me. For 9 years, I had managed the internal affairs of Hayes, resolved crises, and even used the last of my family's resources to help him secure crucial projects. Yet tonight, he didn't utter a single word about it. After the speech, thunderous applause erupted. Tiffany was the first to rush onto the stage, handing him a bottle of water, her actions as intimate as a newlywed wife completely devoted to her husband. Ethan took the water, smiling as he patted her head. I took a deep breath and turned towards the ballroom's side door. I needed to calm down. On the patio outside the side door, the cold wind raised goosebumps on my skin beneath my dress. I lit a cigarette and took a deep drag. The smoke made me cough, but I kept smoking. It was the only way I'd learned to vent over these past 9 years. Footsteps sounded behind me. I didn't turn, thinking it was a server. But the next second, Tiffany's voice rang out beside me, "Ms. Grace, smoking isn't good. Ethan doesn't like the smell of smoke." I stubbed out the cigarette, looking at her coldly. "Is there something you need?" She took a few steps closer, her skirt swaying in the night breeze, her tone frivolous. "Nothing, just saw you alone and thought I'd keep you company." She paused, her smile deepening. "Oh, by the way, Ethan asked me to tell you he has a late engagement tonight. He might be home late. You don't mind, do you?" Hearing her words, I almost wanted to slap her. But I knew that if I lost my temper now, it would only make Tiffany more pleased. I suppressed my anger, saying calmly, "He has his plans. I have no objections." Tiffany pursed her lips, as if dissatisfied with my reaction. She suddenly leaned closer to me, lowering her voice. "Ms. Grace, tell me, why is Ethan so good to me? Last night, he even gave me a custom-made ring, a 7-figure diamond ring." My heart sank. Last month, for my birthday, the gift Ethan gave me was a simple $500 pearl necklace. I clenched my fists, my nails digging into my palms, the pain bringing me a measure of clarity. I stared at her, my voice as cold as ice. "Tiffany, just say what you mean." She chuckled, as if she'd heard something amusing. "Nothing, I just feel quite sorry for you. Ethan said that women like you are suitable to be wives, but not lovers." I opened my mouth, wanting to retort, but found my throat too dry to utter a sound. Just then, the patio door was pushed open, and Ethan walked in. He frowned, his tone impatient. "Grace, what are you doing here? Didn't Tiffany tell you to go back and rest?" "Go back and rest." He didn't even offer an explanation. I watched him put his arm around Tiffany's shoulder, my chest feeling constricted, unable to breathe. I murmured, "I understand." As I turned to leave, I heard Tiffany's low chuckle behind me. "Ethan, Ms. Grace seems angry. Aren't you going to comfort her?" Ethan's voice was indifferent. "She won't be angry. She's always obedient." For 9 years, I had indeed been obedient. But tonight, I suddenly found that word sickening, making me want to vomit. Back at the Hayes family estate, I walked straight into the bedroom and began to pack my luggage. My movements were swift, but my hands were trembling. In the closet, my clothes occupied less than a third of the space, the rest were all Ethan's suits and ties Tiffany had given him. I opened a drawer, pulled out my passport and documents, and stuffed them into my backpack. Finally, I removed my wedding ring from my ring finger and placed it on the nightstand. Mr. Johnson, the butler, stood at the doorway, hesitating as if to speak. "Madam, what are you doing?" I didn't look at him, murmuring, "Mr. Johnson, please call me a taxi." Mr. Johnson sighed, trying to persuade me. "Madam, the master is just out for an engagement. Why go to such lengths?" I interrupted him, my voice calm yet unyielding. "Call the taxi." Mr. Johnson said nothing more and turned to leave. I pulled my suitcase and walked towards the villa's main door. Behind me, the servants whispered. I heard words like Tiffany, madam, and divorce. I ignored them, pushed open the door, and came face to face with Ethan and Tiffany. They had just gotten out of the car. Tiffany was clinging to Ethan's arm, smiling like a victor. Ethan saw the suitcase in my hand and frowned. "Grace, what are you stirring up now?" He always thought I was making a scene. I looked at him, my voice as calm as still water. "I'm not making a scene, Ethan. I'm leaving." Tiffany dramatically covered her mouth, her tone exaggerated. "Ms. Grace, you're not going to run away just because Ethan and I are close, are you?" I ignored her and walked straight towards the taxi outside the main gate. Ethan grabbed my wrist, his grip so strong it hurt. "Grace, stop right there." I shook off his hand, looking at him coldly. "Let go." His eyes darkened, as if suppressing rage. "Do you insist on making a spectacle of yourself here? Fine, I'll give you 3 days. You'll come back on your own after that." Tiffany added fuel to the fire from the side. "Ethan, Ms. Grace just wants you to coax her. Don't mind her, she'll definitely come back. I said nothing more, pulled open the taxi door, and got in. As the car started, I looked through the window and saw Ethan, his arm around Tiffany, walking back into the villa without a backward glance. The taxi drove to the old family estate, a property on the outskirts of Riverwood, and the last one left by my family. The old family estate had fallen into disrepair over the years. Weeds grew wild in the yard, and the air was thick with the smell of damp mold. I dragged my suitcase into the living room, flipped on the light, and the dim yellow glow illuminated a photograph on the wall. In the photo, it was Ethan and me on our wedding day. I stared at the photograph for a long time, then took it down and threw it into the trash can. My phone buzzed. It was a message from Ethan. "Stop throwing a tantrum. There's an important company meeting tomorrow. Come back and prepare the materials. I didn't reply, I simply turned it off. Lying on the cold bed in the old family estate, I closed my eyes, but my mind was filled with the scenes from tonight. Tiffany's provocation, Ethan's indifference, and that phrase, "she's always obedient." I clenched my fists, my nails digging into my palms, the pain bringing me a measure of clarity. 9 years, I had given him too much. Now, it was time to take back my own life. The next day, I contacted a lawyer to draft a divorce agreement. The lawyer was a man named Sterling, in his 40s, with sharp eyes that seemed to see through everything. He reviewed my list of marital assets, frowning as he said, "Ms. Grace, you contributed half of Hayes' success. Are you sure you only want this much?" I looked at the terms in the agreement, saying calmly, "It's enough." Sterling sighed and didn't try to persuade me further. After leaving the law firm, I went to the bank and transferred the personal savings I had accumulated over the years to an overseas account. For 9 years, Ethan had never cared about my financial situation. He thought I'd always rely on him. Now, however, he wanted to use this money to threaten me. I took a deep breath and said to Sterling, "Continue with the divorce proceedings. As for Ethan's threats, I'll handle them." After hanging up, I opened my laptop and began to organize Hayes' financial data I had collected over the years. As the CEO's wife, I had access to Hayes' core accounts. I knew that in his rush to expand over the years, Ethan had misappropriated a significant amount of the family's trust funds and had also signed off on several high-risk investments through Tiffany. These were all his weaknesses. A few days later, I received a video call request from Eleanor. On the screen, she was wearing an elegant silk gown in deep purple, her hair gray, but her eyes still sharp. She got straight to the point. "Grace, Ethan told me you want a divorce and ran off abroad. What's wrong with you?" I said calmly, "Mom, I've had enough. You must have heard about him and Tiffany." Eleanor frowned, her voice tinged with anger. "That little minx, Tiffany, I never liked her. Ethan is also foolish, completely infatuated with her. Grace, come back, I'll teach him a lesson for you." I shook my head, murmuring, "Mom, it's not necessary. I've made up my mind, divorce is the best option." Eleanor was silent for a moment, then sighed, "Grace, you've given so much to Hayes. Ethan owes you. Whatever you want, just say it." I looked at her and smiled. "I don't want anything. I just want to leave." After hanging up the video call, a pang of bitterness rose in my heart. Eleanor was the only person in the Hayes family who was kind to me, but she was, after all, Ethan's mother. Her protection couldn't change Ethan's betrayal. Just as I was preparing to completely cut ties with Hayes, Ethan's retaliation came. That day, I was organizing my design drafts in Liam's apartment when my phone suddenly received an anonymous text message. "Grace, you've ruined me so badly, do you think you can just walk away and skate?" The text message included a photo. In the photo, Liam was tied to a chair. There were bloodstains on his face, and his eyes were furious yet helpless. I shot up from my seat, the pen in my hand falling to the floor and breaking in two. The next second, my phone rang. It was Ethan's voice. "Grace, I'm giving you 1 day to return to the country. Otherwise, your friend won't leave here alive." I gripped my phone tightly, my knuckles turning white. "Ethan, if you dare touch him, I'll make you regret it." He sneered. "Regret? Grace, you're not in a position to make me regret anything. Tomorrow at noon, Riverwood. I'll be waiting for you." The call ended. I slumped into my chair, my mind blank. Liam was implicated because of me. I couldn't let anything happen to him. I booked a flight back to the country that very night. Before leaving, I called Sterling and told him my plan. Sterling's tone was serious. "Ms. Grace, Ethan is desperate. It's very dangerous for you to go back." I murmured, "I know, but I have no choice." After hanging up, I opened my laptop and sent the last piece of evidence against Hayes to Miller. It was an audio recording documenting a conversation between Ethan and Tiffany discussing a money laundering scheme. I told Miller, "If I don't make it back, please make this audio recording public." Miller was silent for a moment, then said softly, "Ms. Grace, take care." It was noon when the plane landed at Riverwood. I dragged my suitcase out of the exit and saw Ethan from a distance, standing next to a black sedan. He was dressed in a black suit, his eyes dark and sinister, like a wounded wolf. Tiffany stood beside him, wearing a tight dress, smiling triumphantly. I walked over and stopped in front of him, my voice calm. "Where is he?" Ethan looked at me coldly. "Get in the car." I didn't move, staring at him. "I want to see Liam first." Tiffany scoffed. "Ms. Grace, you're quite stubborn. Don't worry, Ethan won't lie to you." Ethan frowned and gestured to the driver. The driver opened the trunk, and Liam was there, tied hand and foot, thrown inside. His face was covered in bruises, and there was blood at the corner of his mouth, but his eyes were still defiant. Seeing me, he struggled and cried out, "Grace, don't worry about me, go." A pang of pain shot through my heart, and I forced myself to stay calm. "Ethan, let him go, and I'll go with you." Ethan sneered, "Grace, you're not in a position to negotiate with me." He waved his hand, and 2 bodyguards came over, grabbed my arms, and pushed me into the car. Liam was dragged out and thrown onto the ground. I struggled, shouting, "Ethan, you promised to let him go." He turned around, looking down at me condescendingly. "Let him go? Grace, you made me lose my CEO position, and you still expect me to release him? Dream on." Tiffany added fuel to the fire from the side. "Ethan, Ms. Grace is so unreasonable. Maybe she needs a lesson." Ethan gave me a cold glance and gestured to a bodyguard. The next second, a bodyguard raised his foot and brutally kicked Liam in the abdomen. Liam let out a muffled groan, curling up on the ground, his face pale. My eyes reddened, and I struggled, lunging towards the car door. "Stop. Ethan." Ethan grabbed my hair, his grip so strong that my scalp tingled. "Grace, try screaming again?" I gritted my teeth, holding back my tears. "I'll agree to anything you want me to do. Just release him." He released me, sneering, "That's more like it." The car drove to an abandoned warehouse on the outskirts of Riverwood. I was pushed out of the car, stumbling and falling to the ground. Liam was dragged to my side, his hands still tied. Ethan stood before us, lighting a cigarette and exhaling a puff of smoke. "Grace, aren't you so capable? What about now?" I helped Liam up, glaring at Ethan. "Ethan, what exactly do you want?" He squatted down, pinching my chin, his voice sinister. "I want you to retract all those pieces of evidence, apologize publicly, and say that you framed me." I sneered. "Do you think I would agree to that?" His eyes darkened, and he gestured to a bodyguard. A bodyguard walked over and punched Liam in the face. Liam let out a muffled groan, blood oozing from the corner of his mouth. I lunged forward to shield him, shouting, "Stop." "I agree." Ethan nodded with satisfaction and stood up. "Smart move." Tiffany walked over, smiling as she patted my face. "Ms. Grace, wouldn't it have been better if you had just done this earlier? Why did you have to suffer first?" I ignored her, supporting Liam, and murmured, "Liam, hold on. I'll get you out of here." He gave a weak smile, his voice hoarse. "Grace, don't be afraid. I'm okay." That same night, I was taken to Hayes' office. Ethan forced me to record a video confessing that I had fabricated the financial scandal. After the video was recorded, he said coldly, "Tomorrow morning, this video will be released to the news. You'd better pray the shareholders believe you." I murmured, "I recorded the video. Now release Liam." He sneered, "What's the hurry? Once the news is out, I'll naturally release him." I clenched my fists, knowing he wouldn't let go easily. But I didn't have time to waste on him. Liam's injuries were severe. Any more delay, and the consequences would be unimaginable. Late that night, I was locked in the office, with 2 bodyguards stationed outside the door. I sat on the floor, my mind racing. Ethan thought he had already won. But he forgot that I still had one more card to play. I pulled a pen, with a micro-recorder hidden inside, from my pocket. This pen was given to me by Liam. All conversations, from my return to the country to the warehouse, had been recorded. I opened my laptop, used the remaining limited access to log into Hayes' internal email, and sent the audio recording to Miller. In the email, I wrote, "Mr. Miller, this is Ethan's incriminating evidence. Please make it public as soon as possible. After doing this, I leaned against the wall and let out a long breath. "Ethan, this time, I'm going to make sure you can never recover." At dawn, the office door was pushed open. Ethan stood at the doorway, his suit slightly wrinkled, his eyes as dark as a storm-laden sky. He held a document in his hand, throwing it in front of me, his voice as cold as ice. "Grace, sign it." I picked up the document and scanned it. It was the authorization form for the apology video I had recorded last night. As long as I signed it, the video would be made public at the noon press conference. I looked up and said calmly, "If I sign this, will you release Liam?" Ethan sneered, "Don't bargain with me, Grace. You have no choice." I looked down, holding the pen, but my hand remained still. I knew that if I signed it, Hayes' scandal would be whitewashed, and Ethan would regain his footing. And I would become a target, labeled as having framed my husband. But if I didn't sign, Liam's life would be in Ethan's hands. I took a deep breath and signed my name. Ethan took the document, nodding with satisfaction. "Smart." He turned and left, leaving 2 bodyguards to watch over me. I leaned back in the chair, closing my eyes, my mind filled with the image of Liam's bloodied face after being beaten. I told myself, this wasn't the end. The audio recording had already been sent to Miller. As long as he acted quickly, Ethan's good days would be over. At noon, Hayes' press conference was held at the Riverwood Hotel. I was escorted by bodyguards and sat in the last row of the venue. On stage, Ethan, in a sharp suit, spoke fluently, denying all financial scandals. He claimed that the financial irregularities were malicious smears by competitors, and that I was the mastermind behind it. Next, my apology video was played. On the screen, my face was pale, and I softly admitted to fabricating evidence, my voice trembling, as if genuinely remorseful. Below the stage, reporters murmured amongst themselves, some whispering, "Grace must be crazy, framing her own husband like that? Ethan is truly unlucky to have married a woman like that." I knew they believed Ethan's lies. But I didn't care. I was waiting for Miller's move. Waiting for the big reveal they anticipated. As the press conference drew to a close, and Ethan was about to announce a new project plan, the large screen in the venue suddenly went black. Immediately after, an audio recording began to play. It was a conversation between Ethan and Tiffany in the warehouse. "Ethan, does that woman Grace really think she can turn everything upside down? No one knows about the finances except you and me. Don't worry. If she dares to cause more trouble, I'll make sure her friend dies a gruesome death. The conference erupted instantly. Reporters raised their cameras, furiously snapping photos of Ethan. Someone shouted, "Mr. Hayes, what's going on here? Is the audio recording real? Did you threaten Grace?" Ethan's face was ashen, and he roared at the staff, "Turn it off. Turn it off now." But it was too late. The audio played on a loop, each word a knife, twisting in Ethan's heart. I sat in the back row, a cold smile playing on my lips. "Ethan, this time, you've lost." The press conference ended abruptly, and Ethan left, surrounded by bodyguards. I was taken back to the top-floor office at Hayes, locked inside. Not long after, the door was pushed open, and Ethan stormed in, his eyes blazing red. He grabbed my collar and roared, "Grace, what have you done now? Where did that audio recording come from?" He shoved me against the wall, my back hitting it painfully. But I ignored him, saying calmly, "Ethan, the game is over. The audio recording is public now. Your money laundering and threats are enough to send you to prison for life." He raised his hand as if to hit me, but ultimately just slammed the door shut and left. I slumped to the floor, letting out a long breath. I knew Ethan was finished, but was still in their hands. That night, Miller's report swept across the internet. The headline was blunt and direct: "Hayes CEO Ethan, money, threats, kidnapping, evidence." The article included the full audio recording, along with Tiffany's money laundering evidence. Netizens went wild, cursing Ethan and Tiffany as a detestable pair. Meanwhile, the police initiated an investigation, and Hayes' stock plummeted. Eleanor urgently convened a board meeting and announced Ethan's suspension from his duties. I sat in the office, browsing the news, but felt little satisfaction. There was no news of Liam yet, and I couldn't rest easy. Just then, my phone rang. It was an unknown number. I answered, hearing Liam's weak voice, "Grace, I'm okay. They let me go." My eyes welled up, and my voice choked. "Liam, where are you? I'll come to you." He gave me an address, a small clinic on the outskirts of Riverwood. When I arrived, he was lying in a hospital bed, his face bruised and discolored, but he seemed to be in good spirits. Seeing me, he grinned, "Grace, you saved me again." I fell into his arms, my tears flowing uncontrollably. "I'm so sorry, Liam, this is all because of me." He gently patted my back and whispered, "Don't be silly, I'm fine. What about you? What are your plans now?" I wiped away my tears and said firmly, "Go back to London and start over." 3 days later, Ethan was formally arrested. Police found a large amount of cash and ledgers in Tiffany's apartment, confirming her and Ethan's money laundering activities. Tiffany attempted to flee but was caught at the airport. The news was everywhere, but I stopped paying attention. I packed my bags, ready to return to London. Before leaving, I went to see Eleanor. She sat in the study of the old family estate, her hair white and her eyes weary. Seeing me, she sighed, "Grace, Ethan wronged you. I'm ashamed to face you." I said calmly, "Mom, I don't blame you for what happened in the past. Ethan must bear the consequences of his own mistakes." He held my hand, her eyes glistening with tears. "Grace, you're a good girl. Take care of yourself from now on." I nodded and turned to leave. Walking out of the old family estate, I looked up at the sky. The dark clouds parted, and sunlight poured down, as if welcoming my new beginning. A week later, Liam and I returned to London. My design project progressed smoothly, and clients praised my proposals. Liam also recovered his health and began preparing for his photography exhibition. We rented a small house with a garden, planted some flowers and herbs, and settled into a simple life. One evening, as I was sketching on the balcony, Liam came over and handed me a glass of red wine. He smiled and said, "Grace, your smile is beautiful." I paused, touched my face, and smiled. "Is it?" I hadn't noticed. He sat down beside me and took my hand. "Grace, I want to spend my life with you." My heart raced, my cheeks flushed. 9 years of marriage had left me full of fear regarding relationships, but looking into Liam's gentle eyes, I knew he was trustworthy. I leaned my head on his shoulder and whispered, "Okay." 6 months later, my interior design project was completed and featured in a London design magazine. The client hosted a small exhibition and invited me to speak. Standing on stage, I looked at Liam in the audience and smiled. In the past, I thought I had nothing. But now, I found my true home. Applause erupted, and Liam gave me a thumbs up. In that moment, I knew I was finally living for myself. Meanwhile, news from back home was still updating. Ethan was sentenced to 7 years in prison, and Tiffany to 5. Hayes was undergoing a difficult reconstruction under Eleanor's leadership. I occasionally received emails from Eleanor. She said Hayes was cleaning up the mess Ethan had left behind and hoped I could come back and see. I replied, declining, and simply said, I wish you good health. I'm doing very well. As for Ethan, I heard he was depressed in prison and had tried to contact me multiple times. But I ignored him. He belonged to the past, and I was moving towards the future. One day, Liam and I went for a walk along the river. The sun was setting, and the river shimmered. He suddenly stopped and pulled a ring from his pocket. Grace, I haven't prepared a romantic proposal, but I want to say, I love you. Marry me. I froze, my eyes welling up. The ring was simple, with only a small diamond, but in my eyes, it was more precious than anything. I fell into his arms and nodded, yes, I will. He laughed, picked me up, and spun me around. The setting sun bathed us in its light, as if blessing us. I knew my happiness was just beginning. Thank you for watching today's story. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and share it with your friends. We look forward to hearing your thoughts in the comments. Feel free to share your perspectives, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more exciting stories. See you next time.